After being let go from his job as a software quality assurance engineer in April, Eric Watkins said he filed for unemployment benefits in Colorado. But he hasn't received a penny of the $6,490 he said he was eligible to receive, and he's not sure when he will. Watkins, a self-described privacy advocate whose mother and grandmother shredded personal information when he was growing up, said he is unwilling to complete the identity verification process his state now requires, which includes having his face analyzed by a little-known company called ID.me. He sent a sharply worded letter to his state's unemployment agency criticizing ID.me's service, saying he would not take part in it given his privacy concerns. In response, he received an automated note from the agency: if you do not verify your identity soon, your claim will be disqualified and no further benefit payments will be issued. A spokesperson for the Colorado Department of Labor and Employment said the agency only allows manual identity verification as a last resort for unemployment claimants who are under 18, because ID.me doesn't work with minors and those who have technological barriers. For Watkins, he said it felt like he was forced to choose between the privacy he believed he was entitled to and the money he was owed. Still, when it comes to ID.me, the answer for him is clear: I want nothing to do with them. Watkins is one of millions across the United States who are being instructed to use ID.me, along with its facial recognition software, to get their unemployment benefits. A rapidly growing number of U.S. states, including Colorado, California, and New York, turned to ID.me in hopes of cutting down on a surge of fraudulent claims for state and federal benefits that cropped up during the pandemic alongside a tidal wave of authentic unemployment claims. As of this month, 27 states' unemployment agencies had entered contracts with ID.me, according to the company, with 25 of them already using its technology. ID.me said it is in talks with 7 more. ID.me also verifies user identities for numerous federal agencies, such as the Department of Veterans Affairs, Social Security Administration, and IRS. The company's rapid advance at state unemployment agencies marks the latest chapter in the story of facial recognition software spread across the United States. It also highlights how this controversial technology gained a foothold during the pandemic and now appears destined to remain part of our lives for the foreseeable future. ID.me uses a form of facial recognition known as facial verification, which compares a photo ID with a video selfie that a person takes on their phone when prompted by ID.me's software. It's similar to the process of unlocking your smartphone with your face. The facial recognition a police department might use, by contrast, may attempt to match a photo of a person to one's in a database of faces. The face-matching technology ID.me employs comes from a San Francisco-based startup called Paravision. Paravision told CNN Business it doesn't typically comment on its partners' systems, but that rollouts of its technology are guided by its AI principles, which require that our products are ethically developed and conscientiously sold. Facial recognition technology in general is contentious. Civil rights groups frequently oppose it for privacy issues and other potential dangers. For instance, it has been shown to be less accurate when identifying people of color, and several black men, at least, have been wrongfully arrested due to the use of facial recognition. It's barely regulated. There are no federal laws governing its use, though some states and local governments have passed their own rules to limit or prohibit its use. Despite these concerns, the technology has been used across the U.S. federal government, as a June report from the Government Accountability Office showed. Several ID.me users told CNN Business about problems they had verifying their identities with the company, which ranged from the facial recognition technology failing to recognize their face to waiting for hours to reach a human for a video chat after encountering problems with the technology. A number of people who claim to have had issues with ID.me have taken to social media to beg the company for help with verification, express their own concerns about its face data collection, or simply rant, often in response to ID.me's own posts on Twitter. And some, like Watkins, are simply frustrated not to have a say in the matter. "If I wanted unemployment, I had no choice but to do this," said Aaron Murphy, who practices acupuncture and massage therapy in Rifle, Colorado, and filed for unemployment benefits in April. "I don't think I even have an opportunity to consider if I accept it or not, because I have no choice." From ID.me's perspective, its service is making it easier for a wide range of people to access essential government services, as it avoids the common practice of using information gleaned from data brokers and credit bureaus as a means of checking identities. The company said this lets it give a green light to those who don't have a credit history, or may have changed their name, for instance, people who might otherwise have more trouble getting verified. However, it doesn't sit well with employee and privacy advocates and civil rights groups interviewed by CNN Business. They have concerns about the facial recognition technology itself and for the ID.me verification process's reliance on access to a smartphone or computer and the internet, which may be out of reach for the people to whom unemployment dollars are most critical. There's a real question as to whether there are in fact other, more accessible processes that states could be adopting that could address concerns about fraud without adopting a technology that is known to be biased and have other serious civil rights implications, said Olga Axelrod, a senior staff attorney at the American Civil Liberties Union. Laying the groundwork. While ID.me has grown massively in the past year, the company has been laying the groundwork for offering widespread identity verification for years, even though it started out doing something very different. First, there was TroopSwap, which began as a sort of Craigslist for military service members, founded by Army veteran Blake Hall and Tonell Sourans. In 2010, a third co-founder, Matthew Thompson, also a veteran, joined in 2011. TroopSwap soon pivoted to offering daily deals to the military community, Hall said, but he said the company quickly realized it was spending most of its time working on verifying the identities of users to make it easier for them to enroll. He said this led to a desire to pivot again and build a digital identity verification tool that many people could use. The company called it Troop ID, as it began verifying people's military service records so that businesses could offer them discounts. In 2013, under the name ID.me, it started offering the same service to more groups, including students and first responders, and it has moved more deeply into identity authentication services at government agencies since then.